Hello everyone, Group 6 is here. So for today's video, we are going to discuss about feminism or femininity of women. I just want to say that we're happy that we're starting this podcast because it helps us to connect with people with different ones of life and also those that has similarities to us. So Nikki, what are your thoughts about feminism?
So, sa aking pagkakaalam, ito ay paniniwala na ang mga kalalakihan at kababaihan ay dapat magkaroon ng pantay na mga karapatang panlipunan, pampolitika at pang-ekonomiya sa lahat ng pagkakataon. Ito rin ay gumagalang sa tinig ng mga kababaihan at ang pagkilala sa mga dynamics na dinadala ng bawat tao sa ating lipunan. At sinasabi kong bawat tao, sapagkat ang mga kababaihan ay makakarating sa mga tunay na antas ng pagkakapantay-pantay kapag ang mga kalalakihan ay mayroon ding mga tunay na antas nito. Hanggat mananatili tayo at nagtatalaga ng gawaing, tungkulin, responsibilidad at pagkakataon sa isang partikular na kasarian, hindi talaga tayo nagsusumikap para makamtan ang totoong kahulugan nito at ibig sabihin nito.
Yes. How about you, Nashville?
So, na-discover ko yung feminism. Nagkaroon ako ng idea about feminism dahil din sa nabasa ko sa Wattpad. Yung story niya, parang gusto ng babaeng mag-aklas, gusto niya magtrabaho, ayaw niya maging nanay lang, which is parang the standard ng society noon. Kasi yung placing nun, parang Victorian age. So, ang feminism, nagsisik siya ng equal rights sa lalaki. So, ayun lang po.
So, for you, Bianca, what is feminism?
I believe feminism is needed. And feminism is not only for women to believe in, but also all people. Even men can be feminists. You have just to believe and fight that equality is for all. Being a feminist means that you fight for the equality of all people. It's important that your feminism is intersectional. It should not exclude people based on their gender, race, socioeconomic status, ability, or sexual orientation. Feminism allows people to look at the world that not as it is, but how it could be. So, imagine niyo yung mundo na puno ng inequality, like racism, may mga racist, or imagine niyo yung mundo kapag may discrimination. No? Di ba, ang sama, hindi siya maganda sa paningin at pandinig. The feminist movement, also known as the women's movement, or simply feminism, refers to a series of political campaigns for reforms of issues such as reproductive rights, domestic violence, maternity leave, equal pay, women's suffrage, sexual harassment, and sexual violence. The goal of feminism is to challenge the systematic inequalities women face on a daily basis. Contrary to popular belief, feminism has nothing to do with belittling men. In fact, feminism does not support sexism against either gender. Feminism works towards equality, not female superiority. So itong feminism, hindi to para lamangan ng mga lalaki. Ito yung para ma-prevent or ma-avoid yung inequality. So Nashville, what is the history of feminism?
Feminism, there are may mga waves na tinatawag sa feminism at may mga theory kung paano ba siya nag-umpisa, pero yung rooted na umpisa ng feminism ay sa Asian, pero dun sa iba din kung ano-ano. Pero ang pinatutunguhan lang nun ay they are the foremothers of this movement. Sila yung dahilan kung bakit ba't nangyayari ngayon ba't nagkaroon ng feminism. So, in the 19th century siya nag-umpisa, early late 19th century, emerging out an environment of urban industrialism and liberal societies and politicals. The main goal of this wave is to open up opportunities for men with focus on suffrage. Pag sinabi natin suffrage, parang ayun yung tawag dati ng mga tao sa movement ng mga babae. So dahil dito, na-empower yung mga babae na magsalita at dito nakilala yung isa sa mga sikat na activist na si African America. Dun sa sinabi niyang, "Ain't I a woman?" So, the second wave naman ay more about in politics. Gusto na ng babaeng mga makaboto, gusto na nilang maging involved sa politics. So, dahil dito, radical societies din yung nag-open para i-empower yung mga black women na sabihin yung gusto nila. Tapos parang binrake din nila yung barrier na tungkol sa standard ng society sa babae. So, pagdating naman po may mga groups din parang na-form dito, yung The Beach Manifesto, Sisterhood is Powerful. So, ayun yun, yung kaya siya tinawag na radical feminism. At the third feminism naman ay yung mas bold na approach sa mga approach ng mga babae, mas empowered, mas doon na sila nagsimula mag-lipstick, magme-makeup, i-plunge yung low necklines, hindi na sila nahihiya doon kasi empowered na sila. Binabreak na yung stereotype sa babae na mahinhin, kailangan sa bahay ka lang kasi babae ka. Tapos dahil sa parang defense ng mga lalaki, may tinawag silang para may words and phrases silang na binuo katulad ng bitch and slut. So, ayun lang yung about sa waves of feminism o history of feminism.
So for the next topic, we have Nikki Enriquez for gender inequality.
So, gender equality, pag sinearch mo siya sa dictionary, ang lalabas is the state in which access to rights or opportunities is unaffected by gender. So, tama naman ito na ito yung pagkakapantay-pantay ng mga kasarian ng babae sa lalaki. But the question is, how is related to feminism? So, gender equality is a human right, but our world faces a persistent gap in access to opportunities and decision-making ng mga babae at lalaki. So, naging related siya sa feminism dahil sabi mo nga kanina, Bianca, na ang goal ng feminism is making claims para sa pagbabalance sa pagitan nating mga kababaihan at ng mga kalalakihan para sa kapangyarihang panlipunan, pang-ekonomiya at pampolitika sa loob ng isang lipunan. Sa ngalan ng kapwa, kasarian at ng kanilang karaniwang sangkatauhan. Ngunit may paggalang sa kanilang pagkakaiba. So, katulad nga nung sinabi ni Nashville kanina na yung education. So, dati, tayo mga babae, hindi tayo pwede mag-aral. Ang pwede lang mag-aral is yung mga lalaki. Kasi pag nagkapamilya na, sila lang yung pwede magtrabaho, tayo lang yung mag-aalaga sa pamilya natin. So, ayun lang. Next is cultural feminism. So let me call Bianca to know what is she thought about it.
So what is cultural feminism? Cultural feminism refers to a philosophy that men and women have different approaches to the world around them, and that greater value should be placed on the way women approach the world. In some cases, cultural feminism argues that a woman's way of looking at the world is actually superior to men's. This perspective aims to unite all women regardless of ethnicity, race, class, or age. The essence of being a woman is what makes woman special. and different compared to men. According to this view, this female essence includes a greater emphasis on cooperation, relationships, and peace, also referred to as an ethic of care. Cultural feminists can either believe that being more nurturing is biologically determined, or they might believe that this trait was taught to them by society or some combination of both. So what are the contributions of cultural feminism? Some argue this movement has a very positive and lasting impacts to our society. Taking a fresh look at the different experience of men opened up many insights that were previously overlooked, such as in art, law, or medicine. And for example, the argument of cultural feminists points out that it does not always work to treat women the same as men in all situations. Consider what it would be like, for instance, to be told what type of symptoms to expect when you're having a heart attack, so you can seek medical attention when appropriate. Now, let's say that all of the research on this topic had been done based on members of the opposite sex. No one checked to see if the same rules applied to you and your biology. You could miss signals that would save your life. This is an example of how some industries, such as the medical field, have missed important details in the past by seeing women as just another version of men. By not researching women as truly differences between the sexes could be overlooked. Another positive aspect of cultural feminism and feminism overall is the creation of safe spaces for women, including rape, crisis centers, shelters, and women's centers that help give women allocations dedicated to their needs. Women also have been encouraged by cultural feminism to feel that their caregiving responsibilities have made an important contribution to the world. Some forms of feminism emphasize paid work outside the home as a better uh, path for women. But cultural feminists make sure to celebrate the value of the unpaid work women have performed in the home. The work of cultural feminists also help to debunk the idea that women's moral development is inferior to a man's. By researching women in action, cultural feminists pointed out the areas where had assessed women as inferior. In many cases, a woman's approach tended to be different than a man's approach to the same situation. If a man was judging us, he might not appreciate the value of our ways. Even when a woman's approach could offer an even better solution, he might not acknowledge it. This is the problem with men being the standard by which women were judged. So for the next topic, we have radical feminism.
So before I share my thoughts about radical feminism, let me define it. Radical feminism is a philosophy emphasizing the patriarchal roots of inequality between and women. So pag sinabi nating patriarchal, um, ibig sabihin, nirurule siya nung nirurule siya ng mga lalaki. Lalaki yung nagrurule dun sa ano yun, patriarch. Yun. Tapos, ang common misunderstanding nga dito, parang akala nila ayaw ng mga babae dun sa mga lalaki, pero ang ayaw ng babae ay yung system. So,
Yes.
ang roots po ng radical feminism ay gusto na nila ng wider ng contemporary movement when who is part they participated in war and tulip political movements of in the 1960s. So, dahil nag-promote sila, ginamit nila yung boses nila na ayaw na nila ng war. So, dahil doon, parang mas lalong naging empowered yung mga babae. So, radical feminism is within the conscience of rising groups of awareness to the woman oppression dahil kinredit din sa radical feminism. Kaya naglakas ng loob yung mga tao na sabihin yung feelings nila like LGBTQ na irespeto din sila paano irespeto yung lalaki at babae. So, ang key issues ng radical feminism ay gusto na nilang right sa katawan nila. Halimbawa, kung gusto nilang gumamit ng birth pills o gusto nilang pa-sterilize o gusto nilang i-abort yung anak. So, yung understanding na yung rape ay isang patriarchal power not a seeking sex. Ibig sabihin nun, hindi lalaki yung kasalanan yun ng lalaki, hindi yun nung parang nung babae. Na yung rape, isa siyang kasalanan yun ng lalaki, parang sila yung move nila yun, isang parang hold against sa power sa mga babae. So, ayun po yung radical feminism.
So for the next topic, we have Nikki Enriquez for liberal feminism.
So, liberal feminism conceives of freedom as personal autonomy, living a life of one's own choosing and political autonomy. So, ito yung nag-ugat sa pagkapantay-pantay na madali itong maipasa bilang isang paniwala na na-instill sa humanism sa kakanyahan. Pero nanawagan ang mga liberal na feminista na ang pagkakaiba-iba ng kasarian ay tapos na. So, ito nga yung sinabi kanina ni Nashville na nasa present time na to. So, ito ay lumilitaw batay sa mga sanhi ng kasarian, ngunit talagang ipinataw ng lipunan sa halip na tunay na pagbuong muli sa pagkakaiba-iba sa pagitan ng mga kasarian. So, ito rin ay nagsulong para sa hustisya kasi nga 'di ba maraming nare-rape, maraming diskriminasyon ang ginagawa sa ating mga kababaihan. So, sa pamagitan ng reforma na umiiral ng mga batas sa pampolitika at legal, karaniwang pagsasaalang-alang ng karapatan ng isang individual na mabuhay at umiral ayon sa nais nila na bumuo ng pangunahing paksa ng mga agenda para sa mga liberal na feminist. Halimbawa na nga lang is dun sa edukasyon, sa lugar ng pinagtatrabuhuhan, sa politika, at yung isyong kinakaharap natin sa lipunan. So, kailangan gawing patas yung pakikipagtungo sa atin sa lahat ng kasarian. Dahil alam naman natin na lahat tayo ay may karapatan at walang pwedeng makakuha at makagamit ito kundi tayo lang. So, Bianca, what is your thought about the feminism relationship such as marriage?
So sa feminism relationship, lalo na sa marriage, may inequality din. Hindi lang dapat lalaki yung nasusunod kasi marami rin sa atin na may mga asawa na nagiging under yung babae dun sa lalaki. So we have criticism of marriage. Criticism of marriage are arguments against the practical or moral value of the institution of matrimony or particular forms of matrimony. These have included the effects that marriage has on individually, liberty, equality between the sexes, the relationship between marriage and violence. Philosophically, questions about how much control can a government have over its population, the amount of control a person has over another, the financial risk when measured against the divorce rate, and questioning of the necessity to have a relationship sanctioned by government or religious authorities. So activists often point to historical, legal, and social inequalities of wedding, family life, and divorce in their criticism of marriage. For women, the payoff is obvious. The traditional cultural views of romance toward women's ability to express themselves. So, our men are suffering in this feminism relationship. Many men seem to believe that gender inequality will cause relationship problems. But is this the case? One way of approaching this issue is to look at what happens when couples shift away from traditional family roles, with men taking on more responsibility in the home. Studies of couples who live together suggest that greater equality in earning income and sharing of household chores is associated with greater relationship stability and having sex more often. Indeed, when husbands take on a greater role in housework, shopping, and childcare, it seems to result in lower divorce rates. Likewise, when fathers take paternity leave and contribute more to home care, it results in a greater marital stability. So, um, feminism isn't just about demanding equal treatment from others. It's also about treating ourselves with respect. This struggle comes up constantly in our everyday lives. So, um, so there are few unique things a feminist does in a relationship or strives to do because we're all work in progress aimed towards viewing ourselves as full humans and demanding that others acknowledge our humanity as well. So ito po yung mga pwede nating gawin kapag may asawa na tayo. Hindi tayo yung porket may asawa na hindi na pwede maggala, hindi na pwede mag-born, hindi na pwede magsaya, makisama sa mga friends. So ito pa yung mga ibang pwedeng gawin. So, first, we take time for our friends. So, pwede pa daw tayong maggala kasama mga kaibigan. The ideas of girls' nights is outdated. There's no activity that exclusively women can or should participate in. But feminists do value nights with people other than our significant others. So, for the second, we say no. So, pag gusto mo ng asawa mo na, ng lalaki mong asawa na ganito, ganyan, pwede tayo umayaw. Hindi tayo yung yes lang ng yes at oo ng oo at sunod ng sunod sa kanila. So, third is, we ask for sexual pleasure. So, sa may mga asawa na, di ba? Minsan ang mga babae, minsan demanding din sila. If we are in a relationship that includes sex, we know that we deserve pleasure as much as our partners. We don't pressure them into anything, but we make it clear what we want and what we expect our partners to care. We are so over the ideas that sex is an activity designated to please men while women just put up with it in order to get something else, like money or affection. No, this is our time too. And feminists want to be acknowledged as more than just our partner's accessories. We're multi-dimensional people, after all, with fulfilled lives that often includes career ambitions. We don't want partners who will expect us to put our careers on hold when we have children or ever. Yan nga, sinabi ko kanina, hindi porket may asawa ka na, hindi porket may mga anak ka na, hindi ka na pwedeng lumabas at maggala. We also want partners who will ask us questions about our jobs and other aspects of our lives and remember things about us that don't have to do with it. In short, we want relationships where both people are treated as people. All relationships should be feminist ones. So sabi ko nga kanina, ang lalaki pwede din maging feminist. So for the next topic, we have feminist values by Nashville Mabiling.
So, core values of feminism, so i-define ko muna, is to define, establish, and achieve political and social and economical equality between sexes. So, ang common misunderstanding sa feminism ay yung feminism daw parang women's movement siya kaysa sa hindi siya, parang akala ng mga tao, puro sa kababaihan lang yun. Pero, nagsisik talaga yung mga babae ng equality. Equality movement talaga siya. So, here are the 3 factors na nagbabanggitin ko is to establish and concrete sisterhood. So, kasi pagka nakaka-experience kayo, halimbawa may same experience kasi kayo ng isang babae, parang yun dahil doon nagiging friends kayo, parang na-empowered ka na, hindi ka lang nag-iisa sa labang to. And pang third A, provide people the courage to stand up for what they believe. Like what I said kanina nga, feminism creates opportunities for other marginalized groups to be able to stand up for themselves. Ayun nga yung sinabi ko tungkol sa LGBTQ. And ayun lang po yung core values ng feminism, to empower and unite women.
Bianca, nakamute ka.
So for the next topic, we have Feminism and Society by Nikki Enriquez.
So yan, bago ako magsimula, tignan nyo muna yan. Nakalagay dyan is 50/50. So, ipinapakita dito na dapat pantay lang yung pagtingin ng kalalakihan sa mga kababaihan. Ngunit dahil sa ilang dahilan katulad ng mga krisistismo ng lipunan sa mga babae, naging mababa ang pagtingin sa mga kababaihan. Dahil din ito sa pisikal na anyo, na ang mga babae ay mas mahihina kaysa sa mga lalaki. At dapat ang mga babae ay nasa bahay lang at inaalagaan ang pamilya. At yung mga lalaki naman is yung gumagawa ng mahihirap at mabibigat na gawain. Ngunit kahit pilitin natin mga kababaihan na ipaglaban ang ating karapatan na maging pantay ang tingin sa lipunan sa atin ng mga kalalakihan at maraming humahad lang dito. Katulad na lang ng mga musika, commercial, TV shows at iba pa. Ngunit sa paningin ko ngayon sa mga makabagong henerasyon natin, mas masasabi ko na ang society is binibigyan na tayo ng pagkakataon, tayo mga kababaihan, na unti-unti ng karapatan para mabuhay tayo sa paraan na gusto natin. Dahil alam natin sa panahon ngayon na kahit anong gawin ng mga kalalakihan, kaya rin natin ito. Dahil mayroon tayong paninindigan at kailangan natin ipakita sa mga lalaki na sa lahat ng tao na hindi nabuhay ang mga babae para pagsilbihan ang mga kalalakihan. Katulad na lang sa society, marami na ngayong babaeng leader. Sila na yung namumuno sa mga maraming tao kasi kaya din naman natin gawin yung mga ginagawa ng mga kalalakihan. So, sa ating mga kababaihan, pag sinabi ng ibang tao na meron na tayong asawa, sabi nga ni Bianca kanina, bawal, yung iba, bawal na sasabihin na bawal ka nang lumabas kasi may pamilya ka na. Pero hindi. Pwede pa din natin yung gawin. Dahil, kaya pa rin natin gawin yan. Kunyari, wala pa tayong pamilya, pwede pa natin yung gawin. Dahil nabuhay nga tayo para magkaroon ng magandang pamumuhay at kaya nating ipakita sa kanila na kahit wala na ang tulong nyo, kaya naming umangat sa buhay. So, yun lang. So, I am Nicole Angela Enriquez.
I am Nashville Adrian Q. Mabiling.
Yan ka, nakamute ka.
I am Bianca Mayweb Pulutan. That's for all. We're glad for sharing this podcast.